Jominitani irashize twibuka abazize jenoside kwabuze abana ababyeyi abavandimwe
tubura n'inshuti bose bazira uko bavutse batulekede enaku n'obulumi bamulekwa ne bannamwandu Katonda abawe emirembe mu bujuvu
twarakanzwe n'ubwicanyi twakiriwe ikiremwa muntu tuzogwanya ikintu cyose cyiyonyabwoko hegome no kwiyamiriza imigambi ya jenoside mbega bishwe bose boba bazize iki harageze ko abantu bareka agatima k'ubunyamaswa
Never, never, never again. Let us keep alive the memory of genocide. Never, never, never again. Genocide against humanity. Never, never.
Tunakataa wanaosema mauaji hayakuwepo na hayatarudi kuwepo tena. Never again will we agree. No, 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 no. Sisi vijana kamwe hatutaki mauaji ya kimbari. Abarokotse ni muhumure hari impamvu mwasigaye
gucika kw'icumu nikemeza ko mugomba kubaho
abacu bagiye heza bicaye.
Tonight I want to talk to you about the history and about how these names actually came into place. This question is asked not only by foreigners but also by the younger generation of Rwandans. This is the question actually made possible the genocide against the people called Tutsi in Rwanda. How did this happen? How did these names came to be? So allow me to embark on a course of history for a few minutes, and then we'll continue with the rest of the conversation around the genocide. Let's understand how the genocide happened, how the genocide came to be, and it started with those names. With your permission, I'm not comfortable speaking when I'm sitting actually, but I just want to feel comfortable and talk to you and engage you, so that in a manner that you can understand. And after 5 minutes, I'm sure we're going to be able to move forward together. Okay? You don't mind. Our country is a country that was in existence for a long, long time. Back in, on African continent, we used to have tribes, we used to have groups of people who were always traveling around or staying in one place, not knowing the notion of borders. We didn't have borders. We didn't have DRC, we didn't have Rwanda, or Tanzania, or Namibia, or so. It was Africa, it was a vast, big continent that had people who looked the same, who always lived peacefully. But there was a clever man. There was a clever society somewhere in the north that had understood the concept of economy and the value of belongings. I'm talking about the material worth. In Africa, we were living, we were hunters and living on, fruits, things. We were not really producing. We didn't have any industry that was developed like it was in Europe. So we cannot deny that Europeans were much, much more clever than us. At that time, they were developed more than we were developed. So, having understood the value of money, the value of belongings, and the value of having material possession, they explored the world. That's how they reached America and the other parts of the world, looking for enrichment. But I just went way, way back in history. So fast forward, something called decolonization came to be, and that's how we had Germans in Rwanda as our masters, colonial masters. But quickly, the First World War, the Germans, they lost, and everything that they owned was distributed among the Allies. You all know that, yeah? You do? I do. All right. So Rwanda being a part of what was a German colony, we were given to the Belgians. Belgium was another small country in Europe that was part of the Allies, and it was colonizing a next big neighbor on our west called Democratic Republic of Congo. So we were given to that part as League of Nations Protectorate, so we became under the Belgian colonies. And maybe you don't, in Belgium they also have northerners and southerners. Some speak French, others speak Flemish, but somehow they live in harmony. They somehow overcame their differences, but still they're very much divided in society. So when they came to us as Rwandans, they realized that Rwanda was among very, very few countries on the African continent that had a society that is organized more or less in a similar way like Europeans. This surprised these Belgians, and they just couldn't understand how an African society can be organized at that level. We were organized in a way that we had a king, we were a kingdom. We had a king who had advisors in the security matters, agricultural matters, religious matters. Everything was organized in a way that you would think that is a modern society. And this in itself was our first crime. Our first crime was to be organized and to understand the value of a homogenic and united society. And as an old Roman said, if you don't divide any entity, you cannot rule over it. That's how they came up with an idea of looking at us and find something actually can constitute a door for a division. So our brother here said, asked the question, he asked, what is the difference between a Hutu and a Tutsi? Back in the days in our country, we didn't have the real tribe, as you call them, in many other countries or in other parts of the world where you have clear-cut lines, where you have ethnicities and they have histories. For us, we were one people. We were just one family. With even in one family, if your name is Timothy Perego, maybe you have 3 brothers. Your brother will have his wife, and your sister will have her husband. There will be families, different families, but from one root. Yeah, one would be Peregos, others will be depending where your sister married. But no, you cannot call this completely new tribe and ethnicities. Okay, so that's how we were. So we were one big family with. Is it a proper English to say sub-families?
Clans, maybe?
I am avoiding to use that word. classes. But we can use it, but not ethnicity really.
Yes, yes, not.
We had different families in one big society. So the structure for our society was based on economic classes, not ethnicity lines. Economic classes, in a way, I will explain. The economic class of our society was based on there were some people who were artisans, others they were farmers, others they were cattle herders, or let's say livestock farmers. And these were our biggest differences in society. So because there were a group that was actually looking after cattle, livestock, and another group that was in land, in agriculture and artists. So our colonial masters saw this as an opportunity to actually divide us into ethnicity based on how we live, based on our lifestyles. So that's how it came to be. They would say that the Tutsis are the people who are looking after, who are livestock, who have like livestock farming. These are the Tutsis. And it came to a point where you have 5 brothers and we have 2 different tribes, according to them. Because if I have 10 cows, I become a Tutsi. And my brother who has 1, and he has a huge land that he's working, he becomes a Hutu. And my sister who's an artisan, he's making flower vase, he became another tribe. And these are 3 tribes in one family. And this clever idea was fed over decades, and it became it was a seed that was sowed in our mind, in our society, and it grew, where we somehow came to recognize that my brother is no longer my brother because he has a different lifestyle, and that's how we became those names. That's how we were defined by those names, and we accepted to be defined by those names, because it was the will of the colonial master to make us understand and to make us believe that we are who he wanted us to be. And this is not mythology, this is something that is documented. This is something, and the direct generations that were affected by such political methods, some of them are still alive and they're witness to this. So it continued to be like that. It was
Institutionalized.
Thank you very much.
Don't worry, English came on a boat to Africa, it's not ours.
You see?
English came with us.
You see, the system became institutionalized to the point where we believed in it. We believed in it so much, and along the years, the colonial masters continued their education. They actually drew their education curricula and the material based on those divisions, and people just swallowed. And these are the people swallowed those material, and they became convinced. The more they read, the more they studied, the more they advanced in their education. They became the masters of the same stories. So that's how the same ideas were implemented into the elites, members of our society, and they transmitted these ideas to their children and their children. And back in 1950s, you all know that back in the 50s, all the African countries were trying to get rid of the colonial masters and trying to get independence. Many countries in Africa got their independence in the early 50s, late 50s, and early 60s. We were a monarchy, but because the colonial master had a vision, and his vision was to keep us under his influence, under his powers, so that we can continue to feed the economic and financial needs of Europe. This is not a secret. Many European countries, even today, continue to recognize one after another what they have done to African continent, not specifically to any country, but African continent. So, Rwandan monarchy was abolished in 1959, and that is when actually the orchestrated mass revolution of some society of Rwandans, also with the hand of the colonial masters to achieve the objectives to keep us submitted. Our king was banished from the country and we were turned into a republic that we are today. Not that we are today, but we are turned into a republic. Transited from monarchy to the republic. So instead of, we stopped being the kingdom of Rwanda and we became the republic of Rwanda, like many countries in Africa. And like I said, the institutions had to follow all the this genius plan of the colonial master to keep us submitted, and the education was based on those. The vision was had objective. Their prime objective of the education was to make sure that the younger generation, from scratch, swallow all this theory to make sure that it continues to drift the society apart, to make the society look at itself as a more different than it actually is. So what we call the elite society, those were the first educated Rwandans. They were also the favorite students of the colonial masters. And those are the same people who were put in place to govern the country. When I say to govern the country, you understand that. Those were the class of the politicians, the first politicians who were actually in charge of managing the new republic. From the president, prime minister, the cabinet, all civil servants, all the senior managers of the public, all of them were the results of the education system of the colonial masters. So my friend, when you ask what is the difference between a Hutu and Tutsi, there is none. There is none. There's just names. Those are the names, and somebody somewhere thought he was cleverer than we were, and made us believe actually that we were different. You and I, we were different. Even though we come from one father, one mother, we were actually educated and convinced that we were different, and it worked. It worked. So it continued that way, especially through education. Education is a tool that you can use to build a country or to destroy a country. If you teach your son something that is meant to destroy society, your son will be a destroyer. But if you teach him something that is meant to build a society, he will be a builder and he will bring about peace. So education is very, very important in a society's life, both for the present that the society is living, the very moment that the society is conducting itself, from the day that is being conducted, from morning to evening, but also for tomorrow. It's all about education. So fast forward, the new political class continued to govern the country since 1959, but the objective and their prime intention was to follow the line of the masters in the north, in Europe, and they had to continue to reinforce this forced education to drift people apart. And this lasted for more than 25 years, almost 30 years actually. And they continue to teach the same people that your enemy is your neighbor, your enemy is your brother. And because the education was so structured to make sure that people understand their difference more than they could understand what was the similarities between themselves, it led to the hate campaign and to the education of the youth, that they had to get rid of the enemy. The enemy was their neighbor, their brother, their sisters. On the radio, public radio, private radio stations, everything that was being transmitted was about Now in Europe they have what they call hate speech, the laws against hate speech, people who are preaching things that could lead to violence from one people to another people, from one society to another society. It is punishable by law. But back in those days, about 23, 24, 25, 28 years ago, on our national and private radio stations, those speeches were being passed freely, and they were calling all the professional journalists, they were calling for one group of Rwandans to exterminate another group of Rwandans. And the same messages were being, sometimes were being printed, distributed at university campuses, high school campuses, and groups of students such as yourselves, they were sitting into group, reading those material, how actually they should eliminate another group of the same society that they live in. You know, in Africa, there are only two countries on African continent that is monolinguistic. Only Rwanda and Burundi. We are the only two countries on African continent that can speak one language from north, south, west, east. If you go to other countries, you drive 100 kilometers, you are in a completely new language set in many African countries, right? So we have this near homogenic society in Rwanda, and yet this happened. One morning, one group of the society just woke up and started slaughtering another group. You can imagine, and this is a society that is considered to be the most homogenic, the most, it's like, even today some people don't understand how it happened, but it happened because it was allowed to pass through education by the authority, to have support of the political class, economic class. Everything was done towards making one group of this society understand or believe that the other group is worthless, is worth killing. This is what education does. And that's why every year we make sure that we have commemoration events, so that what happened remains something that remains alive in people's mind. People who were born in 1994, 1995, they're now 23, 22 years old. They're old men now, old men and women. They were not there, but they have to understand. They have to understand why what happened. Why did it happen? How? And in knowing, this generation will make sure that it does not happen again. Because in a matter of 30, 40, 50 years, people who lived through this tragedy will not be around. But if they don't pass on, if we don't pass on this knowledge, what happened, it might happen again. So that's why we as Rwandans, we're not ashamed of our past history. It's a very ugly history, but it's our history, and we're determined to make sure that it does not happen to us ever again, or to anyone else. So the commemoration, every year we have a theme. Every year we have to choose a theme. We have to choose something to work with every year to make sure that we reflect what befell us, but also we reflect what we want to achieve, where we want to go. This year's theme is this one. We remember the genocide against the Tutsi, but we fight its ideology, and we build on our progress. This is what we chose to go by this year for the 23rd commemoration, because we believe, as of now, 23 years after, our country has achieved a lot. Our country has progressed. Our country has developed in a way that even ourselves never believed we could in 23 years' time. That's why we are proud to build on what we have already achieved, but never, never forgetting where we came from, never forgetting what befell us. And not forgetting what befell us becomes a responsibility for all of us to fight the ideology that leads to a denial or a minimalistic view of the genocide. Because there are many people in the world who are still doubting, or who are still, on purpose, wanting to minimize the genocide against the Tutsi, or who are still trying to deny it actually happened. That's what my president was saying in the video we watched earlier. He was saying that there are people who are struggling with names, who are struggling to come up with a name of what happened in Rwanda, which is highly inappropriate. And you will find these people, you will read about these people in different newspapers and the journals and some documentaries. These people, why would someone want to rename something that has already a name? Imagine my name is Eric, and I'm not changing my religion or something and get baptized or be given a... Why would somebody struggle to give me a new name when I already have a name? It means he has an agenda. And there are people like that. And most of the times, almost 100%, these people, they have something to gain from such behavior. So that's why we as Rwandans, whether we're in Rwanda or we're outside the country, it is our responsibility to always remember where we come from and to make sure that our history is told right. Our narrative is faithful to what we actually are and what happened to us. And especially to make sure that what happened to us, it was so terrible that it has never happened again. You know, what happened in Rwanda has never happened anywhere else in the world. Did you know that? It was so tragic. The genocide lasted for 100 days. Over 100 million people died. I mean, over 1 million people died, which meant that each day, 100,000 people were killed. It has never happened, such a speed and such barbaric, it has never happened. That's why we have to make sure that such thing does not happen again. You remember, back in 1994, Rwanda was a population of 6 million, about almost 6 million. And I'm now going to host a genocide in Rwanda. Some of you have an idea of what Rwanda looks like today. But 23 years ago, our country, we were about almost 6 million people. And then in 100 days, over 1 million was killed. And 2 million of those 6 million were involved, were perpetrators, directly or indirectly, into the commission of the genocide. So automatically, that's 3 million of our society that was almost lost. So we had over 2 million, about 3 million people leaving the country as refugees. Never seen such a mass movement of people in a short time. So you can imagine, and that government that had commissioned the genocide, it also left the country emptying everything. Central bank empty. Be about how is it possible. I will talk to you about the political willingness and the governance part in taking a people forward. For a group of people to move forward, they need to be united. And they need to understand the notion of accountability, the governance, and that is what was put in place in Rwanda, for Rwanda to be able to move forward. The governance is about the structure of your politics. If your politics is about the people and not the political elite, Everything is possible because in Rwanda people move together. From the smallest structure of the society, people they work together, people they try to understand each other's needs. Accountability starts from really at the family level. And accountability is part of the governance. The governance is about to give you what you deserve and for you to give what you owe to others. Once you understand that you need to be united as a nation, everything becomes possible. But the moment somebody tells you that you are better than your neighbor, or you're better than your younger brother, you're better than your mother or your father, that is when all the trouble starts, because nobody's better than anybody else. Everybody's what I can do, you can do. What you can do, I can do. It's all about understanding that you are not better than me, I'm not better than you. In Rwanda, we're not communists. We're not communists, but we have to understand that we are equal to each other and that we have a common future, and that we have only one country. It doesn't matter whether we're 12 million or 50 million, we have only one country. We don't have 12 million, each does not have his own country. We have one country. This country belongs to us, to all of us who live in it. So, to keep this country stable, it's a benefit to ourselves, it's a benefit to our neighbors, it's a benefit to the continent, it's a benefit to the world. You know, when there are trouble in different parts of the world, the whole world is affected. But if there is peace, the whole region is stable, and everybody's happy. So that is very important to understand, and we have understood it the hard way, but there is no other secret. People, they always come to my office or to other people's office in Rwanda and they ask, how did you do it? Sometimes it becomes really boring to answer to this question. Really, because you see somebody from a country, he comes, you say, how did you do it? You explain to him. Another one comes, it's exactly the same question. You explain to him. Another one, exactly the same question. Sometimes you start, you say, wait a minute. How is it so easy for me to explain this and that? It's so difficult for my brother from this region not to understand. Because some of us, they still have that education we had before, 23 years ago. That education that was telling us that one group is better than the other group. And people still believe in that. They still believe in that so much that you cannot convince them that they're actually equal to another. I will give you a story, but not to be repeated. Recently we were in a meeting. You know, the 25th of May is Africa Day. Sometimes we just sit together and discuss how we're going to organize such an event, you know, as an African continent, how we're going to have a celebration of Africa Day. And we sit there, we discuss, we exchange ideas. And as you know, in Africa, we speak many languages. Some speak English, others speak Portuguese, others speak French. You know, as we inherited this from our colonial masters. So we have those languages as official languages to facilitate the communication. That's okay. Those are the languages of science and businesses, so okay. There's no harm in using those languages. But the moment that you believe that language is above or is more precious than your own language, that is the moment you got it wrong. So we sit in a meeting and problem arises. Somebody says, look, can we have somebody to translate? Hassan is speaking in English and je ne comprends pas English. Et notre, c'est, moi je parle français, lui il parle en anglais, c'est compliqué pour moi pour comprendre. So we have a problem. English speakers, French speakers. And someone just stood and said, moi, je n'ai pas le droit de parler dans une autre langue, seulement la langue française. And look at the man, he doesn't look French. So I get confused. He said, la constitution de mon pays me dit que je dois seulement parler la langue française dans les réunions officielles. Those who don't understand French, he said his country's constitution dictates that he cannot use any other language but French, only French in official meetings. And this man is not from France. He is very, very far from France. Right? And he's causing problems to everyone. He's saying everybody should speak French, or they should find him an interpreter to explain to him in French what has been said in English. Can you believe that? So I look at this brother. I was trying to keep my tears from, because he was very convinced that he says his constitution dictates that he uses. You see, this lack of flexibility, that is what is causing problems. Somebody is so convinced that if he doesn't use French, he is actually not following what he's considering. What happened to flexibility? If your constitution, or I don't know, dictates that you use it, it's okay. That's your business. Not a problem. But don't make everyone have a problem. You can find somebody discreetly to explain to you what has been said, but you don't have to just stand and make a statement about what you're supposed to be doing. That is how trouble is born. Because we put forward someone else's interest before our own. We even refuse to understand the implications of such. So in Rwanda, if you speak English, it's okay. That's good if I understand. If I don't understand, I will make sure that I find somebody to help me to understand if you speak French. But I will not make a fuss about it, because you have to understand. In Rwanda, the first thing that is helping us moving forward is the flexibility. We have to be flexible because the world it does not owe us anything. We just have to be flexible with ourselves and with our neighbors and with our friends. Because the more you complicate your own life, the more you're complicating other people's lives. So without keeping you here much longer, I'll be more than happy to take questions, suggestions, advice, comments, and I thank you very much for your time, and I invite you to the 24th commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi, 24th, that's 2018. 2018.
You can't be invited as well.
I'm inviting you already because this is something we're going to do next year, the year after, we will never stop. Okay? And before I conclude my intervention, we have a bigger commemoration, a bigger group where we expect about over 200 people on 2nd of May. 2nd of May, young ladies and gentlemen, I'm inviting you at Kechorin municipality from 5 o'clock. We will open a photo exhibition. We'll also have a conference which will elaborate more on what I just said, and that is going to be our official commemoration in Ankara. We will be inviting all the diplomatic corps, business communities, politicians, communities such as yourselves. So please, don't miss it. It's on 2nd of May from 5 o'clock. Okay? Kechorin Belediyesi. Yes.
In the center, it has some buildings.
Yes, on the way to the airport. We will send an invitation with address.
Bauhaus'un karşısında hocam. Bauhaus'ta karşı karşıya.
Ha anladım.
Yozgat Bulvarı.
I'm inviting you, as you being here, but also please bring along your friends, because we'll be always happy to have you and to interact with you about us. of course, we will be more than happy to be invited to one of your events, your national events, and where you also have something to share with us as Africans. Yeah? Thank you very much. No? In fact, yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good reaction to applause. But for us, the commemoration is supposed to be a moment where we actually remember the souls that, over 1 million souls that were lost. So clapping is a sign of happiness, and so that's why we tend to not to applause. But thank you very much. The floor is yours. If no one has comment or question, I will give back the floor to the Master of Ceremony for him to continue, and I think, yeah, for our hosts to intervene. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric Rugamba. He's the Deputy Ambassador in the Embassy of Rwanda. I'd like to thank for explaining to us what happened in Rwanda, our journey. It's really important to us, even if you explain to one person, maybe outside of our country, it's good impression to us to give this message around the world, in order to prevent what happened in Rwanda to happen in other parts of the world. So I would like to invite our brother, Timothy Perego, to give us his remarks, and we'll be heading to close our event for today. Thank you.
Once again, I would like to welcome you all to AFSAM, and I would like to express our gratitude, thanks and concern for your presence here, because us as AFSAM, it's something which you can, which we really feel like, which you cannot forget. AFSAM is an African-based research center, so everything which happened, or which is going to happen in Africa is part of us. That's why we have seen it's of importance for us to organize such an event. With the presence of the embassy, Your Excellency, thank you so much for coming. We are really appreciating. It's an occasion which claimed about 1 million people, and those lives, they worth for us as AFSAM. Organizing such an event, it gives the platform where we Africans, Turkish people, other nationalities, can actually get the correct information of what really transpired and what really happened. That's why we have managed to organize such an event. And also, we are much thankful with what Rwanda has done, from what happened and where Rwanda is today. From the explanation from His Excellency, we can understand like where did Rwanda came from and where it is today. Rwanda remains one of the most best and good examples for tackling and be able to resolve such issues to a point where the country can continue to progress. Today, Rwanda stands as one of the countries which is very much helpful in terms of attaining peace and security in different African countries. So we really have a lot of things to learn from Rwanda as a nation. And as AFSAM, I want to make it very clear that we will remain supportive to such countries such as Rwanda and other nations from Africa. Also, AFSAM holds a lot of programs, seminars, symposiums, leadership training, debates, with the aim that we want to impact ourselves with knowledge, so so that when we are there in Africa, or when you go back there to Africa, we will do well for our continent. And also, I would like to make an announcement that as AFSAM, we have recently opened a publication house. We now have our own publication house called Africa Yainevi. For those ones who have articles, academic work, books, which they want, research papers, which they want to publish, we are going to be publishing those things. Currently, we are only checking all the articles, we are bringing them together, and then very soon we'll be publishing those articles. So bear it in mind for the academicians, if you have papers, books, something which you have wrote, which you want to publish. I don't want to take much of your time. I once again thank you so much for attending this program. And also, I think in June, we're also going to have another program for Soweto Uprising in South Africa. We also had such a program last year. Even this commemoration, we also had another program last year, even though the embassy wasn't present, but we organized such an event. For the Soweto Uprising as well in South Africa, we would also request and want you to be part of the program. Thank you so much for your attendance, and in solidarity with our Rwandan brothers and sisters, we will always be with you. We will always remember this, because history is what makes us. Like the Jamaican saying says that there is no tree without roots. Like history is part of like roots, which keeps us standing. Without those roots, we cannot stand. As Africans, from our African proverb, we say that if you want to go far, you go with others. But if you want to go fast, just go alone. So as an African family, we don't want to go fast, but we need to go far. We should always remain united, being together as a big family, and do our progress and continue to do many, many things as an African community. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. I think we have our from our MC. You announced we have our refreshments before we go and other things, and maybe also we would like a family photo, and then we'll finish up. Thank you so much.
Thanks, and comrades, I have a very loud voice, and I'm a political science student, so those of you who know me know I'm a communist by heart. The Deputy Ambassador said Rwanda is not communist, but for those of us who have studied the ideology of Pan-Africanism, if we look at the founding fathers, they've normally leaned a lot towards communism, but that's not what we are here to talk about today. Firstly, I would like to thank, on behalf of the African Students Association, I see a lot of our members are here, Comrade Peace is here today, a lot of our members are here. Thank you guys for coming. And it's important that we as Africans must learn from each other. You know, the Deputy Ambassador mentioned something very important. You know, colonialists, when they came to Africa to colonize, they used the rule of divide and conquer. And this is a classical example of what happened in Rwanda. And we need to learn. If we don't watch out, African countries will start wars with each other because of French, English, and Portuguese, which are not our languages. They came on ships, you know. So I think opportunities like this, it's very important for us as young people, as intellectuals. We are all, most of us, 99% of us here, are studying to go back and go contribute to our communities and to our countries. It's very important that we make sure that this thing does not only affect us in terms of how we feel towards Rwanda and the example they're setting us, but it must also affect our ideology as young people. Your ideology must change when you leave from here. You cannot look at Namibia does A, Botswana does B, we are different. No, we are one continent. And in fact, it would be amazing in our lifetime, before the lifetime of our great-grandchildren, in our lifetime for us to see a united Africa. And I think the best example of how we can fight these measures of division, such as languages, is from Rwanda. So I'd like to thank everyone who came. I'd like to thank the Deputy Ambassador, Your Excellency. It was very informative. You know, they always say when there's no questions, it means everyone understood everything very perfectly. So we really appreciate it. But colleagues, it's important that we do not just come for cookies and cream to these programs. We must live with an ideological change. And that's all I wanted to leave you with. So For you, thank you very much for coming once again, and we hope to see you in the future, even at the African Students Association programs. Thank you once again.
Thank you.